Grealish and Haaland are probably nailed on to start the Community Shield. Do we think it's going to be a similar lineup to the one that started against Atletico? Any changes, do you reckon?
I would think it would be kind of a similar lineup to the one that was last at Wembley. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is the thing about like the City squad. They've not really signed anyone else, but they've lost Mahrez, but Mahrez wasn't getting in the team towards the end of the season. They've lost Gundogan, but you know, if you add Phil Foden in or Mateo Kovacic in, looks a pretty good team. Looks like the team that won the treble. So I would expect a similar team to that, because City want to win it, don't they? City like really, really want to win it so they can win trophy number 4 for the year, and also kind of set a mark against Arsenal, because Arsenal really good last year, have strengthened a lot this summer, beat City to Declan Rice, but 100 million plus for Declan Rice is expectations on him. All eyes will be on him as he steps up from West Ham. What can he do against the champions at Wembley? You know, Arsenal will really want to make a point, and City will be as motivated.
I think it's going to be one of those games, we've mentioned it before, a little bit like the FA Cup last year, where if you win, great. If you don't, it's not the end of the world. But City used that FA Cup win over Arsenal to put down a mark and say, we can beat you, and next time we play you, we're going to beat you. And especially with all those turnover in squad in Arsenal that you mentioned, I think that could be quite a useful win for City if they can get it over the line. I think Jack Grealish said on tour, didn't he, that he really wants to win the Community Shield because he's lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
And yes, it's only the Community Shield, and there is the argument that it's because City won the league and the cup, why are Arsenal even there? They will feel like they are the rightful winners of it, but they've still got to go out and do it, haven't they? And I think it could be a quite important mental win if they can get it over the line.
Erik ten Hag was speaking on United's tour, and he was asked, you know, can you challenge for the title? And he said the only team that can challenge who can say they're challenging for the title is City at the moment. And of course, with the money spent, Chelsea, Arsenal, United, Liverpool, certainly if they sign another midfielder, have to challenge City for the title. But Ten Hag's kind of right in that, you know, City is still the team that everyone looks to. And if City lose the Community Shield, they can brush it off because they've won 5 league titles out of 6, and everyone knows that defeats like that don't bother them. If Arsenal lose the Community Shield, everyone will say, City is still the team to beat. City are unbeatable. How do we bridge this gap? And we'll kind of like add to City's reputation when they go into games kind of even before a ball has been kicked. So City will really want to win it to kind of motivate themselves and say, yes, we can go again. But if they don't win it, I think Grealish will be unhappy. But, you know, Guardiola said they won't be at full fitness. They won't be near full fitness coming into this game. So you have to kind of excuse that. We were at Leicester, weren't we, for the Community Shield last year. Liverpool were fitter than City, and that really made a difference in that game, and Liverpool won. So Arsenal have had a lot more pre-season fixtures. There's a good chance they're fitter enough for that to make a difference at Wembley, but City will look to use their other skills to bridge that gap.
And I think around the Premier League, Arsenal are the ones that you look at who have strengthened the most and in key areas. So they needed a second striker. They've got that, whether you think Kai Havertz is good enough or not. They've added that other body, that depth. They've got Declan Rice, who should be a very good signing. I'm not looking at United or Liverpool or Chelsea and seeing a team who are significantly better than they were last year. But at the same time, like you say, we went to Leicester last year. Liverpool were probably the better side. Haaland missed an open goal. Darwin Núñez was the best thing since sliced bread, and everyone was saying, Liverpool are going to win the league.
I think, you know, if you listen to certain misguided people, then Saliba getting injured was the only reason Arsenal didn't win the league. Obviously, squad depth was an issue for Arsenal, and they've addressed that by spending over 200 million and getting good players in, which have made sort of a good team into a really good squad. Now, I'll get accused of being a United fan, but I think the potential is there for United. Like, they've spent enough money, so they should be there. But like De Gea was always an issue for them.
Yeah.
How many derbies have we watched where City have just gone, yeah, we're just going to press the goalie because he can't kick, and it's worked for them. And then FA Cup final, even his shot stopping kind of left him, and Gundogan scored those two. So I think United have spent a lot of money, and there's a lot of pressure on this new forward coming in, but they have also made key signings, a bit like Arsenal, that they, that there's a chance that they challenge, and Liverpool as well, if they sign a holding midfielder, I think that's still kind of an issue for them. But if they, say they get Romeo Lavia, and then they've got Romeo Lavia and Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai, maybe. Everyone said last season Liverpool need a new midfield. That is a new midfield, and they've still got a really good attacking line. I think we probably didn't mention enough that like Jota was injured, and you've got Jota and Luis Diaz, and if Nunes comes good, which a lot of underlying numbers would say that he would, that people would tell you about, and obviously Mohamed Salah. They've got this defence. They've got Trent Alexander-Arnold playing this new role. So I think there is a lot of good competition. Arsenal will be seen as the closest because they finished runners-up last season, and because they've spent more than anyone else, I think. And I think
maybe Chelsea.
I can't keep up with who Chelsea are buying.
Don't know.
Net spend, we'll say. And yeah, because they've basically said, look, we finished runner-up last season. We're going to make these key signings to go on better this year. And they've got a test to show that they can do it against City on Sunday.
I think Liverpool are a weird one because their signings have been very good, but I think losing Henderson and Fabinho could disrupt them a bit. And I mean, we've seen Lavia, he's a very good player, but is he a Champions League player or a top 4 player? Not sure he is yet.
Yeah,
he's an interesting one, and
it's he's got Liverpool are going to be really interesting to watch, and either this midfield will completely revitalise the team, and also you kind of need to talk about the other players in the team and the squad, because what were they, 2 games away from the quadruple the season before when City pipped them to the title. Like, it's hard to go that distance and also hard to recover from that distance, whereas now the likes of Robertson, Van Dijk, Van Dijk last year wasn't great, was he? If they can raise the performance levels again, and Alexander-Arnold was kind of revitalised for the last however many games, he was pretty average for most of the season. So if those players can lift their games, then they will, as the cliche goes, feels like new signings. And Liverpool can kind of, having been the closest challenger to City for most of Guardiola's time in England, maybe they can get there again.
And we've not even spoken about Brighton and Newcastle, who had very good seasons and seem to have strengthened. So,
and Chelsea.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got a running order for next week's episode just before the season. Before we get on to just a prediction, there will be a full away end or a full City half at Wembley. A lot of City fans are also boycotting this Community Shield. It was originally scheduled for 5:30 on the Sunday. Fans were very unhappy about that. City weren't pleased either. It's got moved to 4 p.m. on the Sunday. Still not great for a lot of fans. A lot of people are boycotting. There's an event at Band on the Wall. Fans have raised nearly £10,000, over £10,000, including gift aid for the food bank, which is fantastic. But they've also still sold out. So it's going to be a bit of a weird atmosphere, isn't it? Where there'll be some fans who go to every game and want to go. There'll be some fans who it might be the first time at Wembley, but a lot of those fans who would never miss a game like this are saying, do you know what? We've been to Wembley enough. We're getting messed around with kick-off times and travel arrangements too much. Then we want to make a stand. It felt like there was loads of momentum, and then City sold out.
Albeit the majority of sales were not season ticket holders, so that kind of points towards the fact that a lot of season ticket holders are staying away. Some would anyway, just because they sort of see it as part of the summer and they prefer to save the money for trips, of which there will be more this season, like Athens and the Club World Cup. And of course, from next year, I think there are more Champions League trips and everything like that. So, yeah, I think it is important, even though I think hopefully everyone that goes has a great time and enjoys supporting the club in the Community Shield and seeing the first kind of competitive game for the treble winners. But hopefully as well, also it's recognised that City fans are staying away and why they're staying away, because I think the whole message from those fans like the 1894 group and City Food Bank group is that it's not a City issue, it's a whole issue that can affect any club. And we've already seen with some of the Premier League kick-off times that they're not looking out for supporters. I think the FA statement when they moved the kick-off said, after fully considering the fans. And you're like, why didn't you fully consider them to start with? And yeah, there was sort of talk on social media of like Arsenal fans making banners to take to mock the fans not going, and you sort of think, yeah, it's not really something to be tribal on, because ultimately like everyone will lose. So hopefully something is made of it. We'll certainly talk about it, but yeah, it will be an interesting day.
It's that issue, isn't it, of yes, there are away games on Wednesday nights, or like City are starting the season on a Monday night. They're playing Newcastle at home at 8 o'clock on a Saturday, where those away fans will have no way to get home by public transport. But this isn't just 2,000 or 3,000 fans, it's 30,000 fans.
Yeah.
And we saw for the FA Cup final when there were no trains, both teams coming from Manchester, the roads weren't fun at all.
No. But also, if City fans had done this, and if everyone's reaction who supports other teams is like, oh yeah, you've got no fans anyway, yeah, who cares? Then everyone who is involved in organising games will think, right, there's no issue, we crack on. We keep not thinking about the fans. Whereas if this can sort of encourage other fan bases to make a stand and in their own way, then maybe there's a bit of change. You know, it's kind of ever diminishing returns for fans, but you do get, you know, there have been some kind of like caps on away ticket prices and things like that. And just two things that City fans have done. They have said they were boycotting this Community Shield, and the fixture got moved earlier, so there's more train options. They put a report together of all the trouble they had in Istanbul for the Champions League final, and UEFA are now agreed to meet City about it. So you might think that you're fighting a losing game, but you can still make change with the things that you do. And
like you say, the majority of support from other fans has actually been supportive, I think.
Yeah, and it helps that, you know, they're donating money to Manchester Food Banks instead of, you know, the money that either a gesture or the money that they would spend on a match ticket or whatever, or the trip. And I think the Blue Moon podcast also chucked in all the money that they got from charity bets last season. So, you know, over £10,000 is going to people who really need it in Manchester rather than Wembley, which is nice.
Or the train companies.
Yeah.
But we will be there. It's our job. We'll be there at Wembley for the Community Shield. Can I get a prediction from you for the Arsenal game?
I'm going to say 3-1 City.
I was going to say 2-1. I think they'll edge.
Well, you can say 2-1
then. So we think a narrowish City win.
Yeah, I think Haaland might score a few.
So yeah, we'll be at Wembley on Sunday, and we'll be back next week to discuss the Community Shield, whether City have won or lost, and look forward to the season ahead. Thanks for joining us. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all the usual places, Man City, MEN, and we'll be back next week.